UG and PG from JNTU Anantapur, PhD from NIT Tiruchirappalli, and a postdoc from National University of Singapore. After postdoc, he has worked as R&D engineer at ABB GISL, Chennai. His research areas include multi-string inverters for microgrid applications, grid integration of renewable energy systems, energy storage systems, intelligent power management systems, and e-mobility. He has publications in highly reputed journals. Also, he has published 5 EU patents, the 2 European patents, in which the European patents are commercialized. So I heartily welcome Dr. Dastagiri Reddy sir for today's session. So thank you very much for our chair and secretary for giving this opportunity. So thank you, sir. Over to Sandeep, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Ashwin. Now I request Dr. Dastagiri Reddy sir and to take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sandeep sir, and thank you, Ashwin sir, for the kind words and introduction. Let me share my screen. Yeah, please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can able to see it is in full screen mode. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today, our topic is battery charging technology for e-bus. Okay. So, before jumping into the topic, I would like to give some acknowledgements to then ABB, now Hitachi ABB Power Grids, especially the people, global product manager of a particular product called TOSA, TOSA. You can just Google it or YouTube. You can find so much information about a concept called TOSA. So, where I worked in ABB with this product, and Bruce Warner was a product owner, global product owner, and global product specialist, and the project managers, who readily agreed to share this knowledge for academic purposes. When I asked him, shall I proceed and share the knowledge? So I would like to thank them. So now jumping into the topic. When I say battery charging technology for electric bus, we generally have some questions, set of questions. For example, electric bus, what will be the size of the battery? How long that particular battery will take time to charge the battery? Let's say I have 100 diesel buses right now running, and if I want to change them to electric buses, do I need 100 buses? That is more than enough to take care of my city's transportation sector. Let's say 100 buses are able to handle the entire city, but now 100 electric buses can I replace simply with 100 buses? Is that enough? Or do I need to purchase 120 or 130 because it needs a lot of charging time? And how many chargers that I'm going to purchase? What should be my investment, like initial investment, and how much I can get back? What about the investment on the battery? So we have like a lot of questions, and that is the reason most of the countries are still thinking twice, thrice, and even more to directly jump into electrification of their fleet. Okay, when I say fleet, it is a set of buses, so that is what called fleet. Okay, so let us see how to address all these questions and whether we can find answers to all these questions or not, and how many different solutions are available in the market, and what exactly this particular product TOSA is talking about. So this is what our presentation today. But before jumping into the actual concept of TOSA, just we'll start with the very basic stuff. So I would like to start with energy, because at the end of the day, when you want to move something, we need certain energy. If I want to move a certain box from one place to another place, then I need certain amount of energy. I should have the power, I should have the capacity. So we need to know the fundamental difference between what is energy and what is power. So before that, let's talk about our simple energy formula in electrical terms, that is power into time. Power is nothing but voltage into current. And as we are mostly focused on battery side of it, so we don't need of power factor or something. It is just voltage, current, and time. So that is nothing but watt hour. Okay. So when it comes to energy, so why we need certain energy? As I said, we need to move a particular bus, which is of so much weight, and also passengers on it, fully loaded bus to move from one location to another location. So we need certain amount of energy. So first we need to know what is the energy that we need before planning anything. Okay. And when it comes to energy calculations, there are different thumb rules are available in the market, or the fundamental way of approaching the energy calculation is very simple. You know this very simple formula, F equal to ma. So what is the force that you need if you want to move certain mass of a body and with certain acceleration? So from force you calculate torque, from torque you calculate power, from power you need how long you need that much power. That's how you get energy. So the fundamental thing that we need to keep in mind is what is the weight of the bus is very much important when you want to define what is the energy that you need. Of course, the speed is also important, but the major contribution is going to be m. And speed, anyway, it is under control. We can have certain variation from zero speed to some maximum speed. Of course, there is also some thumb rules. You can follow that in the market. That is thumb rules available. So whatever you get here, and we generally add 30% extra or 50% extra, depends on different scenarios. Okay, so I'm not going into that particular derivations, but I'll directly giving you a value. And what is the value is, for a 12-meter vehicle, it is 1.5 kilowatt hour per kilometer. So if you want to move a 12-meter vehicle with a full load, and whatever the load that you have considered, of course, that will contribute to the M. Then it is found out that 1.5 kilowatt hour is the energy that you need for 1 kilometer. If you want to make this a particular vehicle that we are talking about, a 12-meter, for 300 meters, you need energy of 1.5 into 300, that is 450. And you should be having certain safety factor, because you cannot always ensure it will be 1.5 kilometer per 1.5 kilowatt hour per kilometer at any instant of time. But it depends on multiple factors, as it is shown here. It can be your either it is AC bus or non-AC bus. What is your line profile? So line profile is nothing but the route, whether you are going down the hill or up the hill. And what about your auxiliary loads? What about your traction power, traffic congestion? What is your driving style? This is also important, because if you unnecessarily speed the bus and then unnecessarily brakes it, then if you speed again, then you brake it. So everything matters. But this is a thumb rule that generally industry follow. If it is a 12-meter bus, the calculation starts with 1.5 kilowatt hour per kilometer. If it is 18-meter bus, 2.2 kilowatt hour per kilometer. If it is car, if you're talking about SUV, somewhere around 300 watts per kilometer, watt hour per kilometer. If it is electric scooter, little less. Okay, so that is how you start. Now, once you know the energy, then the next step is what should be the voltage rating and current rating. Okay, so we know these simple rules of deciding a voltage rating and current rating. So in general, most of the electric vehicles work with a voltage range of less than 1000 volt. This is because if you go beyond 1000 volt DC, then the safety issues will be very huge. As we all know that we don't have DC breakers, we don't have DC switchgear that is readily available that you can use. So there will be like a lot of safety issues will come into picture. So generally we won't go beyond 1000 volt. And if you see, most of the chargers will be 230 volt, 110 volt AC, and the DC starts from D100, 200 volt to 900 volt DC. So this is the maximum range of chargers. If you look at in market, this is the range. So that is because of there is a lot of restrictions if you go beyond 1000. So that is why most of the market will be around less than 1000 volt. So once you decide the voltage, then definitely next thing is current. So accordingly, you decide the cable sizing, and accordingly, you decide what is the time you need. Okay. So then comes the simple concept of power and energy. So what is power and what is energy? We know the fundamental difference, that is energy is power into time. Okay. So when it comes to any charging, whatever may be the charger that you are going to use, it works with a simple strategy, E equal to power into time. So unfortunately, we don't have much control over the actual time. If the second duration is second, 1 minute duration is 1 minute. So you cannot vary that one. So when it comes to chargers, what we generally go is we generally concentrate on power. So for example, if you want 100 watt hour energy, if you go with 100 watt converter, you can charge in 1 hour. If you go with the 200 watts converter, then you can charge in 30 minutes. So this is the simple rule every company will be working around. But this is so simple. Like if you look at any charger, they say slow charger, fast charger, ultra fast charger, super fast charger. So there is no difference in converter. So they are increasing the converter rating, and they are so that you can reduce the time. But if this is so simple of just increasing the power converter, we have power converters available for various ratings. You are talking about megawatt level, gigawatt level converters in HVDC. So why can't we just increase the power rating so that we can reduce the charging time? That is the simple question everyone will get at this point of time. So whatever may be the charger that you are talking about, slow charger, fast charger, ultra fast charger, there is nothing there inside the converter. The converter is not pushing faster current or something. It is pushing more current so that your time taken to reach
Dasta,
that.
sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. Can you share your screen? It is not visible.
okay, I'll do that again. So whatever I'm writing, you are not able to see.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh. Uh, about now?
Yeah, fine, fine.
Okay. So, as I said, we are working with very simple rules, increase the power rating and naming it as a fast charger or slow charger. Okay. But what is the issue? Why can't we just increase the power? So that's the simple question that anyone can ask. So let's say if you have a simple wire like this, and if the wire manufacturer will give you the rating of this particular wire is 5 ampere. So that, what does that mean? So that means if you increase the current rating, then it is going to affect in certain manner. That is the uh, thing that you get from a manufacturer. So think that whenever you purchase a battery, so they give you certain ratings. What is the current rating? What is the charge rate? What is the discharge rate? Okay. The only issue we have is thermal limit. Because of thermal limit, all these restrictions of how much current that you can push into the battery, how much is the current that you can take out from a battery is going to be limited. Because when you take a battery, either it could be some chemistry inside the battery, or some ion accumulation at the anode and cathode, or some other chemical process, whatever the battery chemistry you are talking about, that will generally limit the current flow to a certain level, and that level is nothing but the thermal limit of that particular battery. If you try to push more, if it reaches its thermal limit, and we know what is the next consequence that we are going to face, that is nothing but electric fire, and which is very difficult to handle. If it is a normal fire, you can put it off in different ways, but electric fire is something different. You should handle it in a different way. So the only restriction we have to increase the power rating so that you can reduce the time is the thermal limits. that is associated with every battery chemistry. So if you go with a lead acid battery, the current rating is very, very less. If you go with the lithium ion, it is little higher. If you go with the lithium titanate oxide, LTO, it will be further higher. So as the thermal limits are relaxing, the dollar price or the price of the battery goes high exponentially. So that is the issue with current electrical vehicle industry, because we don't have a battery that can take more current in less time or in at any given point of time. So that is the only major limitation that we are talking about here in this particular, and how to address that particular issue with power electronics. So that is what we are going to talk. So to address this very simple question of power and energy, I found this interesting picture in Google. Anyone can find this figure. So it is very simple. If you are unable to understand some physical phenomenon or some concept, you better find an analogous concept. So I just found that this is very apt. So if you look at the power, it is low power. So what is low power? It is talking about valve opening of a tank. Okay, so that is nothing but C rating of the battery. So if the opening is wide, then you can push more current. Of course, the voltage rating is for most of the batteries, it is going to remain constant. There will be little fluctuation, depends on the state of charge. For example, if you take a 12-volt battery, if it is fully charged, it may reach up to 13.6 at 100% SOC. If it is at 20%, then it may go up to 11.2 or 11.8, depends on the battery chemistry. So maybe at 20%. So the variation in the voltage is quite less. But if you can address the C rating of the battery, then you can address the power rating of the battery. So the power rating is more, that is nothing but if the C rating of the battery is more. Okay, so if the C rating is given as 1, so that means you can charge that particular battery in 1 hour. Let's say there is a 200 watt hour battery and they say C equal to 1. That means you can charge this particular battery in 1 hour. And what is the power rating of the converter that you can purchase? That is 200 watts is the power rating of the converter that you can purchase. If the C rating of the battery is given as 2, then you can go and purchase 400 watts converter so that you can charge the battery in 30 minutes. Okay, so the C rating of the battery is the major limitation we have right now to charge the battery faster. It's not the charger. It's a charger is nothing, it's just a rectifier and a DC-DC converter or some converter which can give you what is the voltage requirement and what is the current requirement that is needed for the battery. That is what it is going. It is just meeting the requirements of the voltage and current rating of the battery. But the battery is the one deciding whether you can charge it faster or slower. And that is nothing but the C rating of the battery. And when it comes to energy, like how much storage you have, when it comes to high power rating, that is valve opening. That is nothing but C rating. Again, you are referring to C rating. Okay. And when it comes to energy, it is very simple. What is your storage capacity? That is what the energy storage. Right. So my first question was, unanswered question was, what happens if a 5 ampere wire is given to you and if you are asked to push 10 ampere current or more current, what will you do? Anyone in the audience? If a 5 ampere rating wire is given to you and you are asked to install this wire in a system and make 10 amperes to flow, what is the simple answer that we can expect? You make a parallel, you get one more wire and make it in parallel, or you try to make some cooling arrangement so that you reduce the thermal limit. When the current is going more, then the temperature is going to rise. So when the temperature is rising, you try to address that issue by providing some cooling requirement so that you can use the same wire, but with additional cooling requirements, you can pump or you can push more current. So this is what exactly people are trying to do right now. Either you go for more number of cells in parallel, but indirectly it is going to affect your energy rating. Just to increase the power rating, if you go on connecting more number of cells in parallel, that will eventually increase the energy rating of the battery as well. Okay, so if the energy rating of the battery is going to be more, then obviously your price and associated battery management system, because every cell you need certain active balancing system. So again, one power electronic converter inside it, the battery management system, so many sensors, so everything is going to high. So that is the only problem right now in the industry. Number one is the C rating of the battery. Number two, if you want to address the C rating, either you go with a very good cooling requirement, that is also going to add cost, and the other one is add more number of cells in parallel, that is also going to add to the cost and weight of the battery. Okay, so with this simple basics about the battery and the charger. So again, the takeaway point here is charger is not the one which decides whether you can charge something faster or slower. Of course, it will tell you like what is the power rating, but you cannot purchase certain power rating without knowing the C rating of the battery. For example, if you look at any power bank for your mobile phones, there will be two ratings, 1.1, 2.1. If you look at two USB slots given to power bank of any power bank available in the market, there will be 1.1 and 2.1. So if you connect to the 2.1 slot, then your mobile phone looks like it is fast, the charging is faster, and it is obvious, right? You are pushing more current, obviously the charging time is going to reduce. There's nothing new in that. But whether this 2.1 ampere is the allowed current into your mobile, that is what we are going to check. If it is not the case, and if you're still go on utilizing this 2.1 ampere slot again and again, then your battery of the mobile is going to degrade as fast as possible, because it is not the rating, it is not the bounded input or bounded output of the battery, so it is going to degrade its life. Okay, that is what happening. And even when you look at this extra power petrol, when you go for petrol bunks, there will be like extra premium power, extra power, or normal petrol. There'll be two variations. So the extra power is going to give you more heat. So first we need to check whether our engine is capable of withstanding that particular heat or not. So without knowing that one, we generally go for extra power petrol. So, but we should know what about the thermal rating with that particular petrol, whether that my engine is capable of withstanding that particular temperature or not. So this is the simple things that we need to look at it. Okay, so always stick to the bounded inputs and bounded outputs of any system, then that will be good for the life of that particular system. What is the bounded input of any system is what is the rating, what is the rated inputs, and what is the rated outputs. If you purchase a TV, they'll tell you the rated input is 110 volt to 240 volt, but still we go and purchase a stabilizer, thinking that to protect my TV, I need a stabilizer. But the bounded input is 110 to 240 volt. There is a wide variation, but still we purchase a one stabilizer. So these are the simple things that we can look at it. The same way, electric vehicle is going to be happening here. Okay. So whatever may be the methods of battery charging available in the market, whether it is 4C, 1C, CV, constant voltage, constant current, whatever may be the charging strategy that they are following, they are finally addressing the thermal limit. You take any of the charging strategy, finally what they are going to do is you try to push more current, the temperature is going to rise, and when the temperature is rising, you try to reduce it. The temperature for certain duration is not is acceptable, then you push more current. When the temperature is rising, you reduce it. So in what way you are doing it is a different thing, but at the end of the day, all the charging methods of the battery is going to address the thermal limits of the battery. The thermal limit is there, you cannot do anything. So whatever this 2c, 1c square kind of thing, sinusoidal kind of thing, 1c, then step by step you reduce, and whatever maybe the this C charging current, this is charging current. So how you push the current and how the temperature is rising. So this is the only thing that we need to keep in mind while designing a charger for any particular battery. So with this little introduction about the batteries, let's jump into the e-bus solutions that we have in the market right now. Okay, so we'll start with three different solutions that are available, and the three solutions are: number three, that is depot charging solution. So we know very well known concept, this one. I think most of you might have heard of depot charging solution. That is nothing but overnight charging also. So what we do is we take all the buses to one particular location called a depot, and we charge all the buses fully, completely. Whatever maybe the battery is given to that bus, you charge completely with slow charging, or whatever may the fast charger that is available. If the C rating of the battery is given to you that okay, you can allow this much power, accordingly you purchase a charger and you charge all the buses overnight and you run the buses daytime. So that is one solution. The second one is opportunity charging or terminal charging. Okay, so what is terminal and what is depot? So before going into this one, let me just tell you what is depot, what is terminal, and what is bus stop. Of course everyone knows this, but maybe just to be on the same page. So depot, let's say depot, everyone knows that. I don't want need to explain so much about it. But terminal, let me tell you, like let's say there is a two main bus stops. Let's take an airport is one stop, and city center is one bus stop. This is the main bus stop, I mean. So in between these there are multiple bus stops. Let's say some 23, 30 bus stops are available. So when a bus services, if you look at any bus services, what they do is from depot it comes to this particular terminal, that is the main bus stop, and then till end of the day it it roams here and there. Okay, from airport to city center, city center to airport, then only at the end of the day it goes to depot. Okay, so we call this as terminal. Okay, now what happens is there are certain duration or slots given for every bus. Let's say you go to from leave the depot and go to terminal at that particular point. Let's say at 6 o'clock it went to the airport, and then it has to wait for 3 minutes to 6 minutes. Then it will start, because 3 minutes 6 minutes is good enough for people to get in, and bus will be full. So and that is the reason they give certain time slot here, 3 to 6 minutes. And at every bus stop depends on the passengers, number of passengers getting in and getting out. Accordingly, the bus stop time at bus stops is undefined. Generally 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. It depends on the crowd. And then when it goes to the city center, again there will be some time slot given to that to come back again. So this 3 to 6 minutes, instead of wasting time, what we do is we charge that one. So that is why it is called terminal charging. Okay, so what is the advantage and disadvantage of this particular two? We'll discuss in a while. And before that, let me introduce you the other concept, that is flash charging concept. Why to charge only at depot? Why not at terminal? So that is why terminal charging came into existence. Then another concept, like why only at those two places? Why not at every bus stop? When the passenger is getting in, getting out, you have 10 seconds, 20 seconds of time. Why don't you charge in that particular time as well? But what are the challenges associated with that? So that is how the flash charging concept has come into picture. So we'll see how to what are the challenges and how to address those challenges. Before that, let us look at what is best. What is the best way for different solutions? Different solutions are available, and which is the best one now? Okay, so to address that one, just see what is going to happen in everything. When you look at overnight charging, so that means your bus energy, whatever it is going to be required. Let's say the bus has to travel for 300 kilometers in one day. So if you look at it as 12-meter bus, we know that the energy requirement is 1 kilowatt hour per kilometer. So if the bus wants to run for 300 kilometers, then definitely you need to multiply this with 300 and some safety factor of 0.30%, that means 1.3. So it will give you more than 450 kilowatt hour. That is the energy that we are talking about. It will be more than this, greater than this. Okay. So this much energy is required. When it comes to depot charging, the energy that you are providing to the bus is at only one location. So definitely you need to have a very big battery. So whatever maybe the 450 or 550 or 500, whatever maybe the size, the energy that you are talking about, it will be bigger battery, very huge battery. So to charge this huge battery, definitely when you are purchasing a huge battery, you cannot think of going for a high C rate battery, which is going to be super expensive. And how expensive is it? Right now in the market, let's say an AC electric bus costs you around 3 to 4 crores INR, Indian rupees. And out of this 3 to 4 crore, 50% is, or I would say 40 to 50% goes to the battery. So that is the rating, that is the investment that you need to make on the battery. And what about the life of the battery? We know that it will be hardly 3 to 5 years. So again, after 3 years, you have to invest another 1.5 crore to make the bus move again. So there is a huge investment here in electric buses. Okay, we'll come to that. So in the first step, when it comes to this one, you need a very huge battery. So you cannot think of high C rating battery. If you think of high C rating battery, then the cost may be even higher than this. So we won't generally go for high C rating battery. So we go for little C rating battery, and that is why you need very long duration to charge this full battery capacity, that is around 6 to 8 hours. Okay, very huge time you need. Now, when it comes to the terminal charging or opportunity charging, as I already said, at every end of the trip, when you go to airport, you charge for 3 to 6 minutes. When you go to city center, again you charge for, again you come back to airport, again you charge. Then you go to city center, again you charge. So that means you are getting the energy required. The same bus, it has to run for 300 kilometers again in the same second case. But the only difference is the energy you need, you don't need to carry with you. You don't need to go with full tank, but you can go with a reduced tank capacity. You can fill it up somewhere. The same concept here. So the energy top ups are there. So at every terminal, you get certain push of energy. So you don't need to carry a bigger battery. And that is why your cost will come down on the battery in the second case. And the time that you need at the depot will be less because the battery capacity itself has reduced. So that means E has reduced. You can go with same power, but because the energy itself has reduced, the time will be reduced. Power rating is same. Okay, so at the depot you need less time, so you don't need to wait for 6 hours or 8 hours at the depot, but you can make it up to 3 hours or 4 hours. Okay, so if the waiting period is long, that means that the first question I asked, how many electric buses you need to replace the 100 diesel buses. So to, you can relate, if the time is more, then to compensate the rest of the passengers requirements, you need to purchase more number of buses. So if the charging time reduces, you can reduce the number of buses that you want to purchase. If you want to replace 100, you can replace it by 100 itself. If the charging time is very much less, you can further reduce that one to 80 buses. Okay, so this charging time is very important when it comes to fleet electrification. Fleet means like 50 buses, 100 buses, 200 buses. If you look at AP Transport Authority, it has some hundreds of buses. In every city, there are hundreds of buses. So if you want to replace everything by electric buses, then we need to consider each and every minute detail so that you can save a lot of money. Now, when it comes to flash charging technology. So what happens, not only at the terminals, but you are charging at some bus stops, not at every bus stop, at least some different bus stops. So you can further reduce the battery size. So you can further reduce the cost on the battery. So the cost on the battery reduces, so the overall bus cost reduces. As you are purchasing less battery, even if you want to replace after some time, it is possible. And the charging time required at the depot is going to further reduce. You don't need 3 hours of time. Maybe half an hour is more than enough, or you don't need to go to depot at all, because whatever the energy you need, it will be available in the route. Whatever the route we are talking about, airport to city center, it will be available in the route. So the bus has to go, and it will be the energy required for that particular bus will be available in that. That is like our metros. You have DC line available throughout the train. So it doesn't have need to go to the depot. It can run anytime. So the DC line will be fully available for you in metro. But what we have done here is we break, we made this one into choppings. Like, you know, uh, some charging bus available here, another charging bus available, another charging bus, another charging. So instead of having a continuous charging line of 700 volt to DC, for DC Metro, we chopped that line and we made it available to charge. So this is the concept of flash charging station. Okay, so you don't need a separate third rail kind of thing, but at some particular bus stops, wherever energy, if you feel that in this route the energy is going to be very less, so if you want to charge a bit, you charge it, and you don't have to wait for too much long. We are talking about 10 seconds to 30 seconds of duration, and at the terminal anyway you have 3 to 6 minutes. So since you are carrying very less power energy battery, the E is less. So if you go for same power rating, the T will be very less. So with whatever the time given to you, you could be able to charge that. Of course, you need to go for little higher power rating. We'll discuss that in a while. So when it comes to depot charging to flash charging, what is the major benefit we are going to get? We are getting reduced battery size. The amount of that you are going to spend on the battery is going to be drastically reduced. But it is quite obvious that anyone can ask, what about number of chargers that you are purchasing? How many chargers you are purchasing? Okay, you told me that amount of battery that you spent on is reduced, but you are investing so much on the infrastructure. The simple answer I can give at this point of time is the battery life is 3 to 5 years, but the infrastructure life is 20 to 30 years. So even if you think that you are investing little higher at the infrastructure, but the life is higher, the battery is still evolving, the battery technology is evolving. Tomorrow there may be even very good battery with a cheaper price. So why to invest so much when you don't know that this is the best battery we have in the market? Tomorrow there'll be next new model, like mobile phones. If you purchase a very brand new mobile phone, within a year you think of changing it, because new features, new models, charging time is reduced, fast charging, many things are coming up. So when there is a lot of variation in the market of battery, so why to invest so much right now? So you try to invest more on the infrastructure. So that is the simple answer that I can give at this point of time of our seminar. Okay, but let us address some more issues, then we'll see whether the investment when compared to battery is going to be higher with respect to infrastructure or not. That is still a question mark, but even if it is a question mark, I can give you a simple answer with respect to the life of the battery and life of the infrastructure. Fine. The other question that anyone can ask is, what about the life of the battery if you charge too frequently? Because I said every bus stop or 3 bus stops after, there'll be a charging station, and you are charging it and you are discharging. So what will be the life of the battery? So let's address the life of the battery first. Okay, so the life of the battery depends on two major concepts, that is depth of discharge, especially. That is a major thing that we need to concentrate: depth of discharge and style of charging. Okay. But when it comes to depth of charging and style of charging, depth of charging plays a major role when it comes to style of charging. Okay, I'll tell you why. So when it comes to overnight charging, what is happening? Your charging profile. So you charge at 100% throughout the day. So this is like 24-hour duration. You charged and discharge it completely. Then you go charging faster, and then you discharge, then you charge, then you discharge. So this is your cycle. So the style of charging is good. So I mean to say, you are one time fully charged, then you are completely discharging it, then you are charging it again. The style of charging is very good. There's no question of that. So the life can be good, but the depth of discharge is deep. Okay. So as I said, why depth of discharge plays a major role for the same battery, same style of charging. If you have limited the depth of discharge to 50%, so instead of this, if you have limited to like this 50%, then the life would be minimum of 3 times. If it is 3 years duration, then you will get 9 years of life. So the depth of discharge plays a major role in deciding the life of the battery. Though the style is different. Now, instead of one charging cycle, you are addressing for 2 charging cycles, but forget about that one. But if your depth of discharge is limited, then you can easily increase the lifespan. When it comes to next charging strategy, that is terminal charging, this is here also, instead of 24 hours, so the duration here is one trip. The duration is airport to city center. Then you completely discharge, then you completely discharge again, then you charge immediately, little faster, because you need to go for little high C rating battery, so little high power, because you want to charge it bit faster. So here also the depth of discharge is low. Again, there'll be same issue. Though the style is good, but the depth of discharge is deeper, so the life cannot be guaranteed more than 3 to 5 years. But when it comes to the last option in flash charging technology, what what is happening is we are disturbing the style. The style is not followed properly, but the more care is given to the depth of discharge. And that is why the battery that you are going to use in flash charging technology, you get longer duration. So this is how, by addressing the depth of discharge, we can address the life issue of the battery. Fine, I hope everyone is convinced with the life of the battery. So though the style is disturbed, the charging cycle is disturbed, but so if you limit the depth of discharge, so definitely you are going to increase the life. That's fine. Now, what about the next question, that is infrastructure? The battery we address, next one is infrastructure. So this is how actually the battery charging cycle or state of charge varies from one stop to another stop. So you start at one particular stop at 85% or 90%. You go 4 stops without any charging. At one particular bus stop, you have a charge, so you charge a little bit. So then you go with 3 bus stops without charging. So you see the location. So the location is different location at different locations. So there is no certain pattern we are following, but we should follow the pattern, depends on the route. Let's say if you're going up the hill, you need more chargers while going up. If you are coming down, you don't need chargers at all. So depends on the route, the placement of the charger varies. And why the placement is like this? Just to limit the depth of discharge. Only to limit the depth of discharge, we are placing chargers here and there, so that you can limit the depth of discharge and the life can be addressed. So you can say that in this technology, it is expected to have more than 10 years of lifespan. And it is proved that in 2013 or 2014, in between this, first TOSA concept bus, the flash charging concept bus, is delivered in Switzerland, in Geneva, and it is still running without any problem with the battery. So it is 2021. So more or less 7 to 8 years gone. So still no bus has gave a complaint about battery. So that means it is proving. So if you address the depth of discharge, you can address the life of the battery. Now comes to infrastructure. Okay. So when it comes to infrastructure, yes, with power electronics, we can address the number of converters or the investment that you are making on the converters are nothing but the infrastructure. So let's see how to do that. So in general, you have a grid and you have a charger. So charger is nothing but a rectifier and a DC-DC converter. Either on what rectifier you use, what DC-DC converter you use, it depends on multiple strategies. If it is on board, you take care of certain strategies like the volume should be less, your weight should be less. So you need to go for high frequency isolation. If your charger is outside, you don't care about the size, so you generally go for line frequency isolation. And then what about the rectifier? It should meet some grid code. So all those things will come into picture in the selection of rectifier and DC-DC converter. So what you do is in driving mode, you have a motor drive and you use the battery and you drive it. But when it comes to charging, you directly use a charger and charge the battery. Okay, so if you can clearly observe the utilization rate of this particular converter, when you purchase a bus, you already purchased this converter and it is not going to be utilized while charging. So while charging, you cannot move the bus. If you don't want to move the bus, then definitely you don't need this converter that is sitting idle. So why don't you use that one? So that is how you can address the infrastructure cost. So what we can do is, instead of having a rectifier and a DC-DC converter here, you can just have a rectifier with isolation. If it is off board or on board, isolation can be anywhere. So while driving mode, use the onboard converter for driving your motor. When it is charging, with simple modification, the inverter what you are already purchased is going to act as interleaved DC-DC converter. So it will charge the battery. So when it comes to the cost of rectifier and the cost of DC-DC converter, obviously the cost of DC-DC converter is much higher than a rectifier. So we tried to eliminate a DC-DC converter which is expensive in your charger. So there is no need of charger, just a rectifier is more than enough, and your onboard converter will take care of DC-DC operation while charging. While running, it will again go back to its normal state, that is DC to AC mode, and then it will run. So that's how you can address the infrastructure cost. Now there is one more benefit in doing so. So what is that is, as I said, when you are using a battery charger, that is off-board charger, general purpose charger, when you want to charge a battery, it generally needs more than 30 seconds of time to charge the battery. I mean, to start charging the battery. Okay. So let's say you plugged in, immediately it won't charge. Like your mobile phone, if you plug in, immediately it will shows that it is charging. But in electric vehicles, it is not the way. You have to wait for minimum 30 seconds to actually start the charging. Okay. So why is it? Why? Because this is a general purpose charger. So it doesn't know what is the battery of the vehicle, whether it is two-wheeler or four-wheeler or a bus or a truck. It doesn't know what is the rating of this particular battery. So generally in this 30 seconds, what happens is there will be some communication, and this particular DC-DC converter, which is supposed to run in closed loop control, will get certain reference inputs. Okay. So that is nothing but the battery management system will communicate to the charger saying that, hey charger, my charging is so much, like 10% or 20%, and at this point of time I can accept this much power at this much voltage. So what is the voltage and what is the power that I need? Then after some time, charger, wait, I'm my temperature is going to high. Can you please reduce it? So that communication has to be established. To establish that communication, it takes nearly 30 seconds. And that is the one of the major reason you cannot install charger at every particular bus stop, because when you want to plug in, it takes some time. After plugging in, you need 30 seconds to establish the communication. After the establishment of communication, then the actual starting starts. So when you have a bus stop at a bus stop, hardly you need to stop for establishing the communication itself for 40 seconds, and then you need to wait for another 10 seconds or 20 seconds to charge the battery little bit, so it will be hardly 1 minute. So if you stop at a bus stop for 1 minute, then your passenger is going to make a fuss. So he will start irritated. So, but when you utilize your onboard converter, then what happens? You don't need to establish a communication between battery and the off-board equipment. The communication was already established because this particular battery was in touch with this converter while feeding your motor drive. So the established communication is already there, and it is more than enough, and it knows its reference because we installed it. We know how it works. So there is no need of proper communication that has to be given to the rectifier. You can just maintain your DC bus voltage irrespective of the loading. Maybe a closed loop control for DC bus regulation. That's it. So there is no need of any communication. So with this simple concept of utilizing a three-phase motor drive as DC-DC converter, we can address two things: cost of the infrastructure and communication protocols. You don't need to follow the CCS2, CHAdeMO, whatever the protocols we have in the market. We don't need to follow such protocols. There is no need of communication at all in this particular concept. So you don't need to follow this. So you can utilize the power electronic converter and you can address two issues: cost and compatibility, or fast in establishing the communication and immediately starting the charging. Now only problem is how to make the connection faster. That is the only thing that we need to address. So definitely we all know that there are some robotic arms that will come up or down and to make the connection, to make the contact, and then it will start the charging. The same way ABB also have, then ABB, now Hitachi ABB also have something called ETS system, that is energy transfer system. It has a robotic arm and it has a proximity sensor. So it will be lying on the bus. When there is a proximity sensor, something like our toll gate concept, FASTag concept. So when the bus is approaching a charging station or a rectifier, in other words, it will come out and it will be ready for connection. It will have little flexibility like this in horizontal and vertical. So the hand can move in horizontal as well as vertical so that it can make the contact to this U-shaped positive and negative, that is the charger. And of course, ground will be there for a protection purpose. And what happens the moment driver stops and opens the bus door? Okay, the triggering point is the door. And the door opens, then it goes and make the contact. When the door supposed to be closed, so you close the door, then immediately it will disconnect and you are ready to go. So that is how it works. Let's see a simple video. I don't know whether you can hear the volume or not, but it's fine. I can explain you. So you see when the doors are opening, it's made a contact, and it is very safe that you can ask the passengers to get in and get out while charging. But that is not the case with other technologies. You have to evacuate the passengers and then it will start the charging. But here it is quite safe. The moment the door opens, it will start charging, and it will keep on charging as long as the driver keeps the door open. Okay, like this. Okay. So now the question is, what about this particular pole? You are saying we are talking about 500 to 700 volt to DC, so which is quite high, and the safety aspect. So what you can do is we can simply make it passive. So what is passive? When there is no bus, you don't need to turn on the rectifier. When the bus is approaching, then you can turn on the rectifier. Then bus will charge and it leaves. Then you can turn off the rectifier. Okay, so that's how you can address simple safety aspect. of that particular setup. Okay, so this is what you see the overall charging station or charging setup is a grid, galvanic isolation, charger. I'm sorry, this is not a charger, it is just a rectifier, and charging pole and bus. And what is this energy storage? I have not mentioned anything about energy storage at the bus stop. Okay, so far we discussed at bus stop you have grid, galvanic isolation, rectifier, charging pole, and bus. And what is this item coming here? Okay, so what is this item is that energy storage. Why it is coming into picture is, let's say the bus is supposed to go into residential areas. Let's say some 10 to 15 bus stops are in residential areas. So in that particular areas, if you draw 600 kilowatt or 400 kilowatt power in 10 seconds or 15 seconds, that is huge power, and depends on the grid availability of short circuit capacity of that particular area. When you draw this much power, it may disturb the existing grid. There may be voltage dips, there may be some disturbance in that particular locality, and all the residential area people will make a complaint. So, and grid code, as I said, we need to follow the grid code. So in that particular scenarios, if you can avoid a charging station in that location, you can avoid. But if you cannot avoid, and if you definitely need a charging station there, then what we can do is we can install a charger rectifier, and you see the compatibility, like what is the power. Let's say if they say 50 kilowatt is allowed, you can take 50 kilowatt, not more than that. Then you install a 50 kilowatt rectifier and try to charge a smaller battery. Okay, and when the bus comes, you discharge from battery. Okay, again here we are talking about power and energy. We are charging with low power, smaller battery, but longer duration. Here time is more, and there is a storage, and when the bus comes, you are discharging more power but less time. Okay, and if you can maintain the difference between this PT and this PT, then this energy storage can be designed. For example, if you take 600 kilowatt for 10 seconds, it is 1.66 kilowatt hour. That is the energy you're talking about here. But to get 1.66 kilowatt hour with 50 kilowatt power, so how much you need, how long you need? In that way, what is the time required here? Definitely some time is little less or high. So accordingly, you can decide the energy storage. And this energy storage also, again, you can follow the same concept, limit the depth of discharge, and the life of this particular energy storage can be much higher. So you take a smaller power but longer duration and you store it. When the bus comes, you discharge more power with less duration. So you see the energy rating and power rating. 50 kilowatt input, but output is 600 kilowatt. But 50 kilowatt for longer duration, 600 kilowatt for lesser duration. And of course, the C rating of the battery should be taken care, because you are discharging 600. Okay, so you need to address the C rating as well. But if you can avoid that charging station, it is well and good. You can do that, right? And when it comes to depot, as I said, in flash charging technology, the depot charging is only meant for maintenance purpose. You don't need to go for depot for charging. So what is there on the bus? So on the bus, you have traction chain that is water cooled, pack of simple batteries, smaller version, and this robotic arm. Everything can be placed at the top itself. Okay, it's because there is no much weight. But when it comes to the weight of the battery in depot charging solution, it is roughly 4.5 tons to 13 tons. So that is the 4.5 to 13 tons. This is the weight of the battery itself. Okay, that is the weight right now in the market that is available, 4.5 tons to 13 tons. But here We are going with 80 kilowatt hour battery, so it's very less, maybe of 500 kg to 800 kg. That is the weight, and traction chain and everything will add another 500 maximum. So it will be 1.5 ton, everything will be done. But when it comes to others, a battery itself will be like 4.5 tons to 13 tons of the weight of the battery itself. Then it is very difficult to manage that much weight with that power rating, whatever I just said. Okay, I hope I'm running out of time. Sir, can I have 5 more minutes?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. So when it comes to charging of buses, definitely the grid capability is also important. So to cut short the long story, what we are doing here is whatever the buses that you are installed, let's say 100 buses are there, and the energy requirement, that is charging of the bus happening at while the bus is running. So when the bus is running in the city, you have chargers here and there, and they are charging it. So that means the load is uniformly distributed throughout 24-hour duration. When the bus is at the depot, you are not charging at all. So the load curve is flat. Okay, so it is easy to manage for a city. But when it comes to overnight charging, if you want to charge for 3 hours, and for this simple calculations, I assume like 250 kilometer is the run time. Then the 100 buses are there, so you need 21 megawatt charging station at your depot. So 21 megawatt you are utilizing only for 3 hours. So there will be a lot of penalties for you because you install a huge capacity and you are not utilizing it throughout the day. You are not maintaining a flat curve. So there will be huge penalties. And bringing up a charging station of 21 megawatt inside a city is very difficult. So you need to lay a separate transmission line and a charging station and a step down transformer. Of course, a mini substation is required at your depot. Okay, so if the substation goes wrong, then all the 100 buses will be just staying at the depot. Okay, even if you extend to 5 hours, 3 hours to 5 hours, still you need 12.5 megawatt, but still the curve is like this. Okay, so you cannot have a flat load curves. You'll be having always a peaky curves when you go for other way of charging. The same story, whatever may be the number of buses you are running, whatever may be the 12-meter bus or 18-meter bus, every time you see a flat curve. Okay, so when it comes to business point of view, there is something called total cost of ownership. So for electric buses, you need to maintain timetable, and the bus should be capable of carrying more passengers. If the battery weight itself is 4.5 tons or 13 tons, then how many passengers that you can carry? So you should reduce your battery, and the battery should have longer life, and you should always see that your grid code is met, otherwise there will be huge penalties. And light infrastructure at the depot, when it is an established city, it is very difficult to expand your depot because the land costs and everything is going to be super expensive. So better to have light infrastructure, disperse or install chargers everywhere in the city, and let the buses run freely when wherever they want to go, let them go, and it will charge it and maintain a flat curve. So, but what about this location? How you decide on the location of the charging station? How you decide the rating of the battery? How you decide what is the rating of the battery that a bus should carry? So those things generally we should have little optimization, and we should do little what if analysis. What if I miss a charging station while going from airport to city center? What if I miss airport itself? Let's say for security reasons airport is closed, what happens? So we should think of all this what if analysis, sensitivity analysis. Then you need to decide what should be the rating of the battery and those things. And these are some live examples of the buses of with the TOSA concept running, and this is from taken from ABB. So it is in Geneva, 18-meter buses. You can see out of 50 bus stops, only 12 bus stops are having charging. Okay, not every bus stop, just 12. And how many passengers it can carry? It can carry 133 passengers. That's huge. And this is for Nantes, that is in France. You can see there's 22 buses running, there are only 6 chargers out of 34 bus stops. So for 22 buses, only 6 chargers. So the number of chargers also very less in this concept. I'm sorry. And if you even you consider 2 terminals, there is one more, so roughly 8. And even if you consider one at a depot for worst case scenario, maximum 9. So 9 chargers are more than enough to handle 22 buses. And you see the passenger duration, like frequency, you can expect one bus in every 2 minutes 45 seconds. So that's the frequency. So when there is high frequency, high passenger carrying capacity, and longer run times, there is airport to city center. Generally, the duration is like 20 hours, 22 hours. Only 2 hours will be the rest period. In that 2 hours, you cannot go to depot and get charging and come back. So it is better to have a charging within the route itself with some concept called flash charging. And this was for Australia. I don't have this numbers. I left ABB and I have to find it out. So they ordered 60 buses of 24 meter. Same, it has to run for airport and city center. It can carry more than 155 passengers. Okay, so with fast connection, first thing you should know how to make a fast connection, and you should have a full system view. It's not like you're working on only charging, you're working on only converter. You should have a bigger picture of entire system, then only you can provide a better solution for any particular setup. Simple interface, as I said, just a rectifier. You don't need a charger and some protocols, communication protocols. You don't need to follow all those things. It's just a simple interface. Just install a rectifier and utilize the power electronic conversion concept, and then utilize your onboard motor drive as a DC-DC converter, and you are good to go. And so far, this is the only system. This kind of system is only available for high frequency and high capacity. High frequency and high capacity, like big more number of people should be carried, and the frequency of buses is quite not like you expect one electric bus, after a half an hour you expect another electric bus. It is like every 1 minute, 2 minutes you can expect next bus. So, and it is a common system, like you don't need to restrict this bus in this route. Any bus can go in any route. So that is the way we need to think of city buses. It's not like I sold you a cup and it is up to you to decide whether to use it for drinking coffee or beer or water. But you ask the customer what he needs, accordingly you design the cup and give it to him, then he will be very happy. So that is what this concept of TOSA. Okay. Apologize for extending the time, and thank you everyone for your patient listening, and it's open for any questions. I hope you all enjoyed.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful talk, and it gives us many research problem statements that we can identify from your lecture. And thank you very much for delivering this talk today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, hello.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
I am Dr. Rajshekhar from ACE Institute of Engineering and Technology, Ongole, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir.
While buying the chargers or power banks, sir, what specifications we should look after?
Generally, power banks, it comes with only one specification, like 5 volt and 1.1 ampere, 2.1 ampere. But you need to check whether your battery that is available inside your mobile phone is rated same or not. Voltage can be little high, but you need to check the current rating.
Sir, you spoke about talk about depth of discharging, sir.
Yes.
Sir, is it mean we should not wait until the battery goes to 5% or even 0?
Yes, yes.
I couldn't get it, sir.
You should not wait till the battery goes to 5% or 10%. You always better limit to 20% when it comes to your mobile phone. If you can limit to 50%, that is well and good. Like but you should follow certain style. You should not disturb the style. Let's say for 1 week you maintained only 50%. Next week you went for down to 10%. You should not do that. So if you are following one style, you should follow the same style, then only you can expect the life of the battery quite long.
Okay, nice, sir. Sir, one more thing. The number of people get onto the bus may be random, sir.
Yes.
How it could be handled, sir?
The design is generally for overload.
Okay,
When you
right.
design something, it should be for overloaded condition.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Really wonderful lectures. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Sir, there are some questions in chat box as well as question and answer session.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Shall I move out of the PPT?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
In chat box, there is one question.
Yes, sir. I'm going to that. I'll stop sharing. I think it's okay, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. CC or CV charging at terminals. Actually, it is constant power charging. It is not CC or it is CV at terminals. It is constant power charging. You push same power at the same time at any point of time because it is just 3 minutes or 6 minutes. So you look at the current rating of that particular battery. I forgot to mention one thing. So when the battery is at below 10% or 20%, though the C rating is given as 1, you cannot go to 1 C rating. And similarly, even at 95%, 85 to 90, above that, then again you cannot fully utilize the C rating. You should reduce your charging current. So at lower SOC and at higher SOC, though the C rating is given as 1 or higher, whatever may be the value, but you